Have you ever felt like your mind is a crowded, noisy room? A space filled with the blaring news, the ghosts of yesterday's arguments, the anxieties of tomorrow's to-do list, and the incessant buzz of a phone that never sleeps. We walk through our days with this internal chatter, this mental static, and we start to believe it's just the price of admission to modern life. We think the solution is to find a bigger room, a better distraction, or a soundproof wall. But what if the answer isn't about escaping the noise, but about becoming the master of the room itself? An ancient Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most respected thinkers of his time, offered a blueprint for this. He suggested that the mind isn't a passive sponge soaking up the world's chaos, but an active, powerful instrument with a very specific set of functions. He called them the 7 tasks of a clear mind. This isn't some dusty, academic exercise. It's a deeply practical guide to reclaiming your mental space, to becoming the architect of your inner world. The first, and perhaps most fundamental, of these tasks is to choose. This sounds simple, almost trivial. You choose what to have for breakfast, what to wear, which route to take to work. But Epictetus meant something far deeper. He meant the power to consciously and deliberately choose your response to everything life throws at you. To choose is to think and act rightly. It's the understanding that between an event and your reaction, there is a space. In that space lies your power and your freedom. The email from your boss that lands with a thud in your inbox doesn't make you angry. You choose anger as a response. The traffic jam isn't inherently stressful. You choose to flood your system with cortisol. To truly embrace this task is to see yourself not as a leaf blown about by the winds of circumstance, but as the captain of a ship. The winds will blow and the waves will crash. That is their nature. But you choose where to set the rudder. You choose to see a setback as a catastrophe or as a lesson. You choose to view a difficult person with contempt or with compassion. Every moment becomes an opportunity to practice this sacred act of choosing, to sculpt your character from the raw marble of your daily experience. It is the silent, internal work that defines who you are far more than any external achievement. Flowing directly from this is the second task, to refuse. If choosing is about saying yes to the right things, refusing is about the liberating power of saying no. In our world, temptation isn't just a forbidden fruit. It's a million tiny, digital sirens calling for your attention. It's the temptation to scroll endlessly through the curated lives of others and feel your own is lacking. It's the temptation to engage in pointless online arguments. It's the temptation of outrage, of gossip, of procrastination. To refuse these things is not an act of deprivation. It is an act of profound self-respect. It's the declaration that your focus, your energy, and your peace of mind are too valuable to be given away cheaply. Every time you refuse the urge to check your phone, you are choosing your present reality. Every time you refuse to be drawn into negativity, you are protecting your internal climate. Refusal is the gatekeeper of a clear mind. It doesn't just block out the bad, it creates the necessary space for the good to flourish. It's the art of turning away from the trivial many so you can give your all to the vital few. These first 2 tasks, choosing and refusing, are the foundational pillars. They are the active, moment-to-moment disciplines that create a clearing in the mental forest. But once that space is cleared, what do we plant there? What do we build? That is where the next set of tasks begins to guide us forward. So, you have begun the work of the architect. By choosing your reactions and refusing the endless stream of distractions, you've cleared a space in that noisy room of the mind. The static has died down, and for the first time, you can hear the sound of your own breathing. The question that hangs in the quiet air is, what now? A clear space is not the end goal. It's the beginning. It is the fertile ground where the real work of a meaningful life can take root. This is where we turn to the next tasks of a clear mind, the ones that give our newfound freedom a direction and a purpose. The third task is to aspire. This is the gentle yet constant pull towards becoming a better version of yourself. In our hyper-competitive culture, the idea of becoming better can feel exhaustingo race for more promotions, more followers, more achievements. But this is not what Epictetus meant. Aspiration, in its purest form, is not about external validation. It's an internal orientation, like a plant instinctively turning its leaves toward the sun. It is the quiet, daily, striving to be a little more patient than you were yesterday, a little more courageous, a little wiser, a little more compassionate. This is the why behind the first two tasks. Why do you refuse the temptation of angry gossip? Because you aspire to be a person of integrity. Why do you choose a calm response to provocation? Because you aspire to be a person of peace. Aspiration is the compass of the soul. It ensures that your choices are not random, but are all pointing in the same coherent direction toward the person you truly wish to be. It transforms the struggle of self-discipline into an act of creation. You are not just avoiding bad habits. You are actively building a good character. Hand in hand with aspiration comes the fourth, and more subtle, task: to turn away. This is different from refusing temptation. Refusing is putting up a shield against an incoming arrow. Turning away is consciously choosing not to walk through the battlefield in the first place. This is about turning away from the seductive pull of negativity, falsehood, and corrosive cynicism. Our brains are wired to notice threats, a trait that kept our ancestors alive, and the modern world exploits this magnificently. Outrage is a product. Fear is a business model. Despair is an addiction. To turn away is to recognize this and to make a deliberate choice. It is not about being uninformed or burying your head in the sand. It is about distinguishing between what is tragic and what is toxic. You can acknowledge problems without marinating in them. You can be aware of injustice without letting bitterness poison your spirit. It's the wisdom to know that endlessly consuming news about things you cannot influence doesn't make you more engaged. It often just makes you more helpless and angry. Turning away is an act of mental hygiene. It is the refusal to drink from a polluted well, understanding that what you feed your mind will inevitably shape your reality. With our compass of aspiration set and our path cleared of negativity, we can now face the horizon. This brings us to the fifth task: to prepare. A clear mind does not live in a state of blissful ignorance about the future. It lives in a state of calm readiness. This is the crucial difference between preparing and worrying. Worrying is a mental hamster wheel running furiously in circles of fear, getting nowhere and exhausting yourself in the process. Preparation is a scout, looking ahead, noting the terrain, and making intelligent provisions for the journey. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of potential troubles, not to create anxiety, but to eliminate it. By calmly considering what could go wrong, you might lose your job, a relationship might end, a project might fail. You do two things. First, you strip these events of their power to shock you. Second, you can take practical steps in the present to build resilience against them. You build your skills, you save your money, you nurture your relationships. Preparation is about trading future anxiety for present action. It is the understanding that while you cannot control the weather, you can and should build a sturdy ship. We now see a fuller picture taking shape. We are choosing our responses, refusing distractions, aspiring toward our best selves, turning away from poison and preparing for the road ahead. But all of this preparation and striving begs the most important question of all. What is the destination? What is the ultimate purpose that guides all these efforts? And what do we do when we encounter storms so great that even the best prepared ship is tossed about? This leads us to the final and most profound tasks of a clear mind. We've journeyed inward, clearing the space, setting our compass, and preparing our vessel for the journey. We've done the work to aspire and to prepare. But for what? A ship, no matter how sturdy or well captained, is meaningless without a destination. A compass is useless if you don't know what star you're sailing towards. This brings us to the very heart of a clear and effective mind. The tasks that infuse all the others with meaning and grant us peace even in the midst of a storm. The sixth task is the crowning principle of them all, to have a purpose. This is your North Star. It is the chief principle and priority that illuminates every choice, every refusal, every aspiration. A purpose is different from a goal. Goals are finite, you can achieve them. You can run the marathon, get the promotion, or finish the project. A purpose is the infinite game you are playing. It is the why behind all your goals. Your goal might be to be a good parent in this specific moment, but your purpose is to be a loving and supportive presence throughout your child's life. Your goal might be to complete a task at work, but your purpose might be to create things of value and integrity. This purpose doesn't need to be grandiose. You don't have to change the world. You simply have to define your own. Is your purpose to cultivate kindness, to create beauty, to be a source of stability for your family, to learn continuously, or to be a pillar of your community? When you are clear on your purpose, it becomes the ultimate filter for your life. When faced with a decision, you no longer have to wrestle with 1,000 competing desires. You simply ask one question: does this serve my purpose? If the answer is yes, you proceed with clarity. If it's no, you turn away without regret. This is what transforms a series of random days into a coherent, meaningful life. But even with the clearest purpose, life will inevitably send storms your way. The waves will crash over the deck. The winds will tear at your sails. You will face illness, loss, betrayal, and failure. No amount of preparation can make you immune to the realities of the human condition. And this is where the final, and perhaps most difficult, task comes to our aid. The seventh task is to assent, that is, to agree with and accept reality for what it is. It is the wisdom to finally and peacefully distinguish between the things we can control and the things we cannot. This is the ultimate secret to tranquility. What can you control? Only your own domain. Your choices, your judgments, your refusals, your aspirations, your purpose. Your inner world is your kingdom. Here, you are sovereign. What can you not control? Everything else. The weather, the economy, the actions of other people, your health in the long run, your reputation, life, and death. To spend your energy fighting these things is like shouting at the tide to stop rising. It is a futile and exhausting war against reality itself. To assent is not passive resignation. It is not giving up. It is an act of profound strength and wisdom. It is looking at a situation you cannot change, a difficult diagnosis, a painful layoff, a past mistake, and instead of wasting energy on, if only, you say, this is so. This is the reality I have been given. Now, what will I choose to do next? How can I face this reality with virtue and in accordance with my purpose? This task brings all the others full circle. Your acceptance of what you can't control frees up all your energy to focus with laser precision on what you can control. Your response, and there it is. The 7 tasks of a clear mind are not a checklist, but a living, breathing system. Your purpose is the star you navigate by. Guided by it, you aspire to become a better captain and prepare your ship for the journey. Each day, you make choices and refuse distractions that would pull you off course. You turn away from the siren calls of negativity and falsehood. And when the uncontrollable storms of life hit, you assent, accepting the reality of the waves so you can focus on steering your ship with courage and grace. The noisy, crowded room you once felt trapped in has been transformed. It is now the captain's bridge clean, orderly, and filled with quiet purpose. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the navigator, sailing freely and with a clear mind toward the horizon you have chosen for yourself.